for the life of me, I can't understand why Harley Davidson continues to make this mistake that they've done. And today I'm going to talk about it because there's so many other manufacturers that are jumping in and kind of stealing the spotlight from Harley Davidson, and yet they just continue to keep doing what they're doing. And I believe it could end up being like a situation, what you had back in the 80s, where Ronald Reagan kind of had to step in and help Harley Davidson out. It seems like they're heading down the same exact path, but this time, is anybody going to step in and actually help them out? We'll talk about that too. Of course, I want to hear your opinion. If you agree or disagree with mine, that's fine. Let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Let's go and get into it. You know, no matter what brand of motorcycle you like, or if you're a new, returning, or veteran rider, I think one thing we can all agree on is that motorcycles are awesome, but motorcycles you can win are even better, and that's why I'm giving y'all a chance to win the 2020 Harley Davidson Iron 883. This is the first model Harley that I ever purchased for myself, and let me tell you, as far as a customizable motorcycle, one that looks good, sounds good, and is just a freaking awesome little ripper that you can customize to your heart's desire, this is the best motorcycle out there for it. Now, what makes our giveaways different is that we work with a small veteran-owned business. We keep the time frame small, which in return keeps the pool of entry small, giving you a chance to win something really awesome. So from October 25th to December 13th at midnight Pacific Standard Time, the giveaway ends. So you only have a small time period to get entered to win, and to get entered is very simple as well. There's one link in the description of this video. That's going to take you to Headshot Nation. That is the one and only motorcycle and gun community that are combined. If you want to talk to other community members, send me messages, start your own threads, ask questions, do video requests, get early access, ad-free, and exclusive videos, this is the place to be. We started this community with our initial giveaway, and it is a fantastic community to be a part of. So click the link in the description. That's the only link there. And again, sign up, 49 bucks. That gets you entry into the giveaway and of course the Headshot Nation. But again, you only got a small time period, October 25th to December 13th. After that, it's cut off. So click the link, sign up, and trust me, I cannot wait to give away another motorcycle. Good luck to every single one of you. So as you guys know, I recently rebought a 2020 Iron 883. And in my opinion, it is the last great Sportster that they ever had, because after 2022, when they discontinued the Iron series and the Sportster series all the way around, they reintroduced the Nightster and then of course the Nightster S and the Sportster S. And while these motorcycles are okay, and they definitely up the game as far as power and handling and features, they leave something really important to be desired when it comes to Harley specifically. And one of those first mistakes is the aesthetics. Now, the Nightster is about the closest that you'll get to one of those old school Harley Davidson Sportsters, but it really doesn't even come close to any of the Sportsters of old. You know, your 48s and your Iron 1200, your Iron 883, it modernizes, right, that idea of what the Sportster used to be, but then again, as far as the aesthetic, I really don't think it has that same appeal. You look at other manufacturers, the Yamaha Bolt, the Rebel 300, the 500, 1100. You look at Kawasaki Vulcan S, you know, even the Indian Scout series, they still have that old school appearance, and they've added modern features like ABS, and hell, even the Honda Rebel 1100, you can get that with a DCT. Some of them have digital speedometers and keyless ignition, and they have, you know, like I said, ABS or DCT, traction control or ride modes. So they have the technology, but they still have the appearance of that mid-sized cruiser that a lot of people like. When you look at the competition, these other manufacturers aren't thinking, oh God, we're behind the times with these cruisers. They're thinking, hey, this is a big market that people still enjoy. So while we need to add tech into them, we also need to make sure we keep that aesthetic curb appeal of what makes these mid-sized cruisers so appealing in the first place. Harley Davidson, in my opinion, has lost that with the Nightster and the Sportster. And while they've made some nice upgrades, they still just lose that curb appeal that even like the old school Nightster once had. And for sure, when you compare that to the old school Sportster. Now, some people, including myself, will say, hey, Harley Davidson needs to catch up with the times. They need to add more technology in the bikes. They need to think and innovate. And while that's true, you don't annex the bikes that a lot of people really liked. Now, I don't know, I wasn't looking at sales numbers and stuff like that, but again, if I'm comparing to the competition and what people are buying from these other manufacturers and the offerings they have, there's obviously a very strong market for these bikes. Which leads me to the other side of this two-headed snake, and that is the fact that they have no more entry-level motorcycles. As far as price anyways. You know, the new Revolution Max motor is fantastic, all the features are great, but you want to be able to sell motorcycles to people that are getting into it. And one of Harley's biggest things, one of the things they've struggled with, I think forever probably, or at least over the past 2 decades, is getting new riders in. Right? We know that the average age of motorcyclists has gone up significantly. We know that maybe less younger people are riding, but if you're gonna get some of those younger people into motorcycles, you gotta present them motorcycles that are at a price they can actually afford. Now, the Street Series, it wasn't for me, and I can't imagine that they sold a whole lot of them, but at the same time, that price point was fantastic. The Iron 883, even the Iron 1200 or the Sportster 48. All of these bikes, pretty much you could get for under 10 grand. I remember when I bought the 2017 Iron 883 with ABS, it was, I don't know, 8,500 bucks. That was brand new, by the way. It's something for a couple $100s a month you could actually get into and buy yourself a Harley Davidson. So not only does it have the look, but it's a price that a lot of people can afford. Again, let's look at Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Honda. They all have motorcycles that are ranging from 7 grand, even 5 grand for some of the Honda Rebels, the 300 anyways, 8 grand, 9 grand, up to about 11.5 for the Honda Fury. But what else do you see when you look at these motorcycles? They all have some really cool features, right? There's something that if I'm looking at a new cruiser, right, I want to get into it, I have a limited budget, man, I can afford that, 5 grand on payments, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, man, that's something I can afford. I can get in through Honda. I go to Harley's website and I see, okay, the cheapest bike they have is 12 grand. That's going to pretty much double my payments unless I come with more down. To me, this is just an opinion of just a guy that rides and reviews motorcycles. They are missing out on a whole lot of people that are in that realm that have a little bit of money to spend. They want to get into motorcycles, but why in the hell would they ever spend double to get into a Harley Davidson when they could buy a Yamaha Bolt or a Honda Rebel? And one thing you might be saying is, well, the brand. Well, people aren't as tied to the brand if they're not already in the brand. Nobody comes into this unless you were born and raised around Harley Davidsons, or unless you, I guess similar to my case, my grandfather always rode motorcycles, but I didn't really get into it until 2006 when I was out of high school. And then 2017 when I bought another motorcycle, I knew Harley was the brand I wanted because I like American-made stuff. I wanted a cruiser. It just made sense to me. But not everybody is like that. A lot of people are thinking about what features am I getting? What's the warranty? What's the price? Plus I got to buy the gear. They can get in much easier with some of these other motorcycles and sometimes get better value in return. So unless you're tied to that Harley Davidson name, I know a lot of us are. I know a lot of y'all are. I get it. I understand it, right? But there's a lot of people, even more people, that are not tied to that. They need the best deal they can get to become a rider. Now, of course, you're going to pay a little bit more for American made. Some people are willing to do that. At the end of the day, they're sending the Sportster, the Pan America, the Nightster, right, the whole Revolution line to Thailand. So if their plan is we send it to Thailand, we're going to send it back to the U.S., we're going to save a bunch of money on manufacturing and be able to offer these bikes or newer bikes with the Revolution Max motor that retain some of those old school features that cruiser guys like, and they're going to pass that savings along where people can get into it. Fantastic. Will they do that? I hardly doubt it. They're calling this move to Thailand a temporary move anyways, so that being a part of some long tail success, I cannot see them actually doing that. And I think they're missing out in a big way on these bikes. And we already know how their CEO feels about this anyways. He wants to sell, not necessarily wants to, that's a bad way to put it, but he is willing to sell less motorcycles at a higher profit margin because, it makes their stock prices good, or, they're making more money. So at the end of the day, it doesn't look bad. Well, here's the problem. You want to get more people into motorcycles. And so, yes, you have a lot of people that are getting entry-level bikes from some of these other manufacturers, including Indian, and you're missing out on a big part of that. And while you do have, right, people still getting into motorcycles regardless of the brand, that's a great thing. Harley, if they want to snatch some of these younger riders and get them in to the Harley brand to be lifelong customers, that, in my opinion, is something they are missing out on completely. They've made some good moves over the past couple of years, but this one ain't one of them. I think it's a really terrible move to get rid of these bikes. And the Iron 883, the Iron 1200, Sportster 48s, all of these bikes were just examples of good motorcycles with that old school appeal that you could highly customize and get in at a fairly reasonable price. Slap a frickin' Revolution Max motor, it sounds easy, but slapping a Revolution Max motor into one of the older school irons or whatever and do some handlebar changes and whatever else they would have to do, it would be an endeavor for sure. And keeping the price under 10 grand, I think would have been a better move. But I don't know. That's just me. That's my opinion. And I think that other companies are doing this part of motorcycling way better than what Harley's doing. Now remember, back in the 80s, Harley Davidson was trying to undercut Japanese manufacturers because the Japanese were getting motorcycles into the US. Now they were oversaturating the market for sure, but they were selling motorcycles at a much cheaper cost than what Harley Davidson could produce and sell theirs. So they had to get Ronald Reagan involved in order to, put tariffs on these Japanese motorcycles. So will we have another situation like that? I'm not quite sure, but these Japanese manufacturers are kind of doing the same thing once again, and Harley just cut that segment out of their lineup completely. That's just my opinion, though. I think it's a huge mistake, and of course, I'd love to hear from y'all. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing, and don't forget, December 13th at midnight Pacific Standard Time is your last day to enter to win this 2020 Iron 883. This will probably be your best chance to win something really freaking awesome. So make sure you click the link in the description to enter to win that motorcycle. Big thanks. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.